to my English lessons. This is the third lesson in my series, and we're going to cover some more basics about greetings and introductions. So I know you already know the basic greetings, but let's go through some introductions. So, informally, if you want to introduce somebody to someone else, you can just say something like this. Hi, this is Keisha. If you have been introduced to somebody, you should say something like, it's a pleasure to meet you, or pleased to meet you, or nice to meet you. And usually we shake hands. Okay? And to respond to this, you simply reply with exactly what the person said to you, and you add the word to at the end. So, nice to meet you too. It's a pleasure to meet you too. Okay? When you meet somebody informally and you have not been introduced to them, you can ask them what their name is. What's your name? What's your name is a good way. And then you can say it's nice to meet you after that. Okay, so let's role play a meeting with somebody in an informal setting for the first time. To relax and respond to me as if I'm a stranger you've just met. So let's begin. Hi. What's your name? I'm Keisha. It's nice to meet you. Okay, so this is how you could have responded. Hi. And you say, hi. Okay, I said, what's your name? You could have said, my name is Jack. What's your name? I would have said, my name's Keisha. It's nice to meet you. And you could say, it's nice to meet you too. Okay? This simple form of introduction is a great way to begin to speak to people that you don't know but you think could be interesting. It's a great way to meet people. Now let's talk about what you can do after you have greeted in an informal situation. Okay, here are some questions you can ask a person to start a little conversation going. Okay, the first one, which is my favorite, is do you come here often? Be careful about this one because it can sound like a pickup line, which means it could sound like you are kind of sexually interested in the person. So be careful using that one sometimes, but it is a great way to find out more about a person. Okay? Another great way is to say something like, what do you do? What do you do means, what is your job? So you can find out more about the person. And after the person has told you what their job is, you should try to sound interested in it. For example, you might say to me, what's your job? I would say, I'm a teacher. You could say, oh, that sounds interesting. What do you teach? Okay, ask a question to get more answers and you will start to have a lovely conversation. Okay. So we have two questions so far. Do you come here often? Which is kind of a funny one. What do you do? And let's think of another scenario. You are at a birthday party or a party of a friend's and you meet somebody at the party. It's a great idea to ask, how they know the person whose party it is. For example, if it was, let's say, John's birthday, you could say to a person you have not met, "Oh, how do you know John?" And they would tell you more information. And after they have told you that information, they will also ask you, "How do you know John?" Okay? So if you ask me, "How do I know John?" I would say, "Well, I work with him. He is a colleague of mine." Okay? Notice how I use the possessive form here. So, let me show you some examples. He is a colleague of mine. He is a friend of mine. Okay, so that covers the informal greetings, and let's go on to formal greetings. Okay, so I've got my little formal clothes on to give you a good example. And we're going to talk about meeting and greeting in a formal way. So we already learned the time of day meetings: good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Okay? And we can introduce ourselves by saying, "My name is Keisha," for example. So when you greet someone, you could say hello or a time of day greeting. "My name is Keisha. May I ask what your name is?" Now notice the sentence is a lot longer. Okay? This depends on how formal the situation is. In my job, I don't speak like that, but my workplace is a little less formal. If your workplace is more formal, then your language should be a bit more formal. Okay, but take cues from people around you. Okay, copy the people around you. So you may say something like this: "May I ask what your name is?" Or, "Can you tell me your name?" Use these instead of "What is your name?" In English, "what" can sometimes be very rude, so be careful with the way you say "what." Okay? So, "May I ask what your name is?" "Sure, my name's Keisha." Or, sometimes and very often in formal situations, we use our surname too, or last name. For example, my name is Keisha Victor. May I ask what your name is? So in a formal situation, if we would like people to feel comfortable with us, we can say, "Don't be so formal." So we're saying, it's okay, you can relax. You don't have to say all these long sentences. Okay, so let's practice that. I want you to practice with your name and last name. "My name is Keisha Victor, but please don't be so formal. Call me Keisha." Okay, it's your turn to practice. I want to hear it with your name. Go ahead. Okay, so I think we've got this down, and let's go on to another part. So you've introduced yourself, and after you have introduced yourself and heard what the other person's name is, you should say, "It's nice to meet you," or "It's a pleasure to meet you." Now, to make yourself seem more approachable, friendly, professional, you can add the person's name. Very easy. So, for example, "It's nice to meet you, John." Okay, "It's nice to meet you, Keisha." Now, let's do a little role play with what you've learned. "Good morning. Could I ask what your name is?" Well, my name is Keisha Victor, but please don't be so formal. Call me Keisha. It's a pleasure to meet you too. Okay, so if that was a little bit tricky, go back and practice. Okay, practice makes perfect. So go back, rewind a little bit, and try it again. Okay, so students, unfortunately, that is all I have time for this video, but next time we will do something equally fun. Okay, I hope to see you back on my website many times and tell your friends. See you soon. Bye bye.